What's going on, guys? Magdallan here. We're just a couple hours away from the Sanctum launch, and so I wanted to quickly share a few tips for how to have a happy and healthy league start, as well as my plans for the first few days and for the long term. So let's jump right into this here. I would say the most important thing is to make sure and pick a build that you know that you're going to be able to play for 3 to 5 days, maybe a week, and enjoy it the whole time. So for me personally, that disqualifies a lot of the super meta builds. I'm not going to be playing anything that's not really appealing to me. And so it's important to keep in mind that there are a lot of builds that are going to be able to get this job done that are not necessarily the absolute top tier, super boring cookie cutter builds. You can still get outside of the box and have a good league start. But I would say that you want to play something that's reliable, something that you can find guides for, something that you know is going to get you all the way through the game and into the content that you need to be farming. And I would recommend saving your big experiments for the second character. That not only gives you time to get some currency in your stash, but also it lets you take a look at how things are shaping up, what items actually turn out to be really powerful, what builds end up actually working really well for people in the league. You can make a more informed decision. And so I think if you have a good character, you know you're going to play for 3 to 5 days a week, it's well tested, then you can move into your second character and have a great time playing basically anything you want to play at that point. And then the next really important thing is to have your add-ons up to date before you start to play. It's a big hassle if you get into the campaign and then you realize, oh, I need this thing updated, or I don't have a loot filter set up, or whatever. So this is going to include, as I said, your loot filter. I like to use Awaken POE trade, get your worker up to date. I like to use the trade site extension that allows you to save, search parameters and get things set up so that you're not wasting a bunch of time looking for those initial items. I like to use X mouse to reduce the clicking. That's the add-on that lets you bind the left click, or the right click, I suppose, to your mouse wheel. Super great for limiting the stress on your wrists. And then make sure that you've got your path of building up to date. And then make sure that you open up whatever your preferred leveling guide, checklist, whatever it is that you use to just keep yourself on track. If you're somebody like me that doesn't level all of the time, a lot of times I'll level a few characters at the beginning of the league and then I play them, and then there's a big gap between when I've actually played through the campaign and when I do a league start. So it's always good to have just a browser tab open with something to keep you on track. And then have some kind of a plan for what you're going to do with your skill points, how you're going to grab those pieces of gear as you're leveling up, what flasks you need to get your hands on, and where you're going to get your gems as you're leveling up. Not knowing what you're going to do with that stuff eats up tons of time. I would say I lose more time on this type of stuff than anything like dying or getting lost or forgetting where to go for a quest, anything like that. So, and then make sure that you've got water, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you got your snacks all set up so that you're not trying to figure that out while you're doing your initial push. And then I would say make sure and take a break every hour or so, stretch your wrists, rest the eyes, especially if you're like me and getting into your old age. And then don't get overhyped about the first 3 days. For most people, the league is going to be a thing that stretches out for at least multiple weeks, but probably a month, month and a half or more. And it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. If you're one of those people that is really concerned with getting rich in the very first couple days of the league, then you probably already have a system set up. You're probably working with a group, or you have a hyper min-max strategy that you're going to use. And for me, that's not really the way that I like to play the game. So for the rest of us, yes, it is nice to get your nest egg set up in the first week so that you can launch into your second build and have a great time, but you don't have to be super crazy about it. Now, in terms of my plans, I'm going to be playing a Poisonous Concoction Occultist. I'm going to start with Spark and then transition into Armageddon Brand for the leveling process. And then once I hit maps, I'm going to focus on Harbinger, Breach, and Legion. And I think I'll likely get rid of Breach after a few days, but it's proven to be pretty effective for me in past leagues for just getting that initial currency going. And it looks like they buffed it up. I think I saw that you can have multiple breaches open at a time, and it looks like they're really letting you shove a bunch of these into each map. And so I want to at least experiment with that at the beginning. My goal as far as making currency as the league progresses is to basically supply Conqueror maps to people that are going to be farming the endgame bosses because of the new items that have been added. And then I would also like to supply Fracturing Orbs and Ancient Orbs through Harbinger. And then I'm going to sell Legion emblems to the speed farmers, the rotation guys on TFT. They buy those basically for the entire amount of the league that I'm realistically going to be playing. They're always useful to sell. They always carry a pretty decent price. And then as far as map choice, I'm probably going to be doing Crimson Temple, but maybe Dunes. I don't know exactly what the drop rate is going to be for apothecaries, or if that's going to be a thing that makes sense to do, because I would much prefer to play Dunes in terms of just the map layout, the tile set, all of that. And then I'm going to ditch Poisonous Concoction after I have enough currency, and we're going to play some other builds this league. I want to try some stuff with Edziri's Disfavor, Void Forge, that new Explodey Flask, and then I do want to mess around with the new Vol skills. And that's about all I do in terms of my goals. I'm going to mess around with the league mechanic, and I'll change stuff on the fly, but I don't like to lock myself into a, step by step all the way through the league. I don't really like to pick my second build before the league starts, and this is the way I approach it. And so I won't keep you any longer than that. If any of this was interesting or helpful to you, please do hit that like and subscribe button, and I hope you guys have a great Sanctum League, and I will see you in the next video. Appreciate you.